As World War III is about to break out, I peacefully went to a first world cinema to watch the new Spider-Man film, and as I sat with guilt, I thought it was pretty terrible. I'm joking, it was fucking awesome. Which really surprised me because I didn't really buy into the hype around the film. I didn't know what the marketing was saying. Was it Spider-Man Home 3 in the sense that it's about Peter and his classmates? Is it mainly a team-up buddy film with Doctor Strange? Or is it live-action Spider-Verse? What is this? And the truth is, it's all of these. But unlike Spider-Man 3 or Amazing 2, which completely collapsed under the totality of being too many things, No Way Home gets away with it because everything is so smartly prioritized and organized under a simple story about a boy letting go of his youth by learning to accept the cost of his decisions. The film effectively adapts the tone change from the end of Lee Ditko stuff, where the end of high school represents the death of a community and the end of a wackier world. Because during the course of 30 issues, despite how Peter Parker disliked his schoolmates, Flash and Liz, they were there for him. But when university began, his personal life is reset, and all of a sudden, there's a real sense of severity to everything. The coloring even changes for a bit. The MCU basically took this transition point, where the comics effectively gave itself a soft reboot, and reapplied it to complete and finish their version of the high school era. And as a classic Lee Ditko fan, this was pretty orgasmic.
Yeah, big change.
So this video is a review, but also an analysis of sorts, because I'm not looking forward to all the videos titled How No Way Home Fixed MCU Spider-Man, with absolutely no regard or credit given to the materials it's directly drawing from, and the precedent that was set from Stan's original 100-issue run. So this is my act of fucking protest. Unless those videos actually never happened and I look like a fucking arrogant idiot. No Way Home, instead of doing all of its ideas concurrently, does them one at a time through basically 3 distinct mini-films. The first is basically the ending to Far From Home, as Peter Parker loses his anonymity. Matt Murdock fucking shows up and clears his name, and I can't believe it. This means the Netflix-verse lives. All the actors can come back. But Peter Parker still has to deal with a judgmental world, and it's like the most Spider-Man-y thing ever. It basically gives full life to the montage page from issue 4, where Peter Parker's big fear of being unmasked is being ridiculed as a delinquent. This is where JJ comes in, and I love him. Not just because he's J.K. Simmons, but he's actually used more authentically than even in the Raimi trilogy, where he's not just a funny boss, but a symbol of Peter Parker's self-doubt. One that seriously hurts him. Peter then messes up Doctor Strange's spell, because he's not willing to let everyone forget he's Spider-Man because of his loves and family and whatnot, leading to film 2, the team-up and multiverse film, where he catches the Sinister Five, but knowing they'll all die in their own individual films, he refuses to send them back and tries to cure them. The whole conflict is centered on the theme of getting a second chance through sacrifice. All the villains must either pick life without powers or just death. There's no other option, but Green Goblin seduces them with the idea that they're gods who can have it both ways, to live with power without responsibility. As a result, Aunt May, who was pushing Peter to save them, ends up dying, and she spouses, with great power comes great responsibility. I'm gonna get back to that in a second. On one hand, the idea of moving forward without Aunt May feels really weird to me, kind of wrong, but also, having just reread loads of the Lee Romita stuff, I'd rather they not try and do University Aunt May, because I wanted to punch that old lady in the fucking face. She went from being weak, but with a strong heart in the Ditko era, to being so weak that she'll fall into shock from just watching TV. Furthermore, all the other live-action Spider-Man films outside of 2 would run out of things for her to do, so between having obligatory screen time that's inherently digressive by nature, or making her so feeble that it becomes irritating, then I guess killing off hot Aunt May kind of makes sense in the long run, especially with how it seems like they're really gonna focus on Peter Parker's loneliness in the next film. And also, it's not a shock death, it's crucial for the central themes for the rest of this story. The final film is live-action Spider-Verse. All the leaked photos and videos were totally real and are in the film. Furthermore, when Andrew Garfield first appeared, this was one of the few times ever in a quiet British cinema that I ever hear people cheer, and I love him. I couldn't stop smiling. Andrew clearly had a blast coming back, and his version gets some closure as he makes it up with Electro, saves MJ, and talks about life after Amazing 2. Tobey's return was also pretty fucking great, although I was really distracted by how he's obviously in front of a green screen for most of it, because there's a really strong bloom effect used to blend him in, and where Andrew has a whole stunt on the ceiling and is regularly touching the cast, Tobey maybe he's just standing around so they can clearly just crop him in later to the final climax, then he's with the actors. Either this could be due to COVID, or it was that hard to get him on board in the first place, so they got him for like 2 days. Anyways, I'm not complaining. The 8-year-old in me was just giggling the whole time. I was like, oh, it's Tobey Maguire. It's Tobey Maguire. Also, I was really happy that No Way Home didn't have the Force Awakens problem, where the moment the old nostalgic characters come in, namely Han Solo, everyone is shoved aside and turned into a sidekick, causing the overall flow of the story to break. Because the old Spider-Man are simply here to hold a mirror for Tom, so as they share their stories of living with guilt, Tom learns to appropriate his, so the film never loses focus. And also, Uncle Ben is referenced in a way that is totally correct. Rather than being a coercive memory looming over Peter Parker, he's a supportive one that Peter returns to when he's lost faith. But then on Tom's side, there's no reference to him, which infers that Aunt May entirely serve his purpose now, which is extremely weird. But I'm hoping this means in the freshman show, they might go full Amazing Fantasy 15, where Uncle Ben isn't the most important thing in the world, in the sense that he's Peter Parker's big inspiration for being Spider-Man, but is more like a traumatic turning point for Peter to start being like an incel. Maybe, fingers crossed. Anyways, the heroes work together to cure the villains, we get some extra closure, and as reality collapses, Spider-Man's second chance is to wipe everyone's memory of Peter Parker. A much worse cost than before, but he takes it, saying farewell to MJ, Ned, and even Happy Hogan, before moving out to live all alone. All the personal perks for being an Avenger is gone. The warmth of his community is gone. All he has left is his convictions to keep on going. As a result, No Way Home as a title is effectively a quadruple entendre. It's about bad guys who can't go home, Peter can't go back to life before Mysterio, the end of the old MCU 6-picture deal where we can comfortably know Spider-Man lives in the MCU while being pals with Iron Man, and a farewell to the Lee Ditko era of storytelling, while we enter the Lee Romita ones. Although technically, Ditko did work on the first 8 issues of University stuff, so I guess it would be the Lee Ditko Romita one, whatever. So I guess be prepared for movies about a super handsome, confident, flirty Chad Peter Parker who rides a big sexy fucking motorcycle and has an insane temper. Anyways, I fucking love this film. Tom Holland finally checks out all 3 corners of my Parker triangle. The filmmaking is way more intense, from more handheld work to just some beautiful shots. I'm totally up for John Watts directing the Fantastic Four movie now. And even though No Way Home is not a literal adaptation of issue 28, it feels like it. There's a sense of regret where the colors of Peter Parker's life is lost as his youth dissipates. There's a particular moment the film kept reminding me of where Peter and Liz talk during graduation. She fancied him throughout high school, but he never cared because she used to pick on him, and he was also with Betty Brant. But now Betty is gone, Peter's entering a new space all alone, but Liz is choosing to move on, and there's a real sense of sadness that he never gave her a chance. A love that was lost, a life that never existed, and a door that simply closed with age. The simplicity of the sitcom world of being 16 has moved into the messiness of the soap opera of being in your early 20s. Spider-Man No Way Home, more so than any other Spider-Man film, captures this sense of bittersweet biographical advancement from Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, and John Romita's work. So I fucking love this film, and I'm extremely excited about the future. We might get a more comic accurate version of Spider-Man No More. We might do all the crime stuff from the final third of Lee's run. We'll eventually see Peter Parker mentor Miles Morales. We've watched the boy die now, so the man can live.
I'm so confused right now, baby. Didn't work for us, didn't work for us. And I guess it's over now, baby. Didn't work for us, didn't work for us.
So I've never done a review before because for the longest time I prided my essays as being proper essays and not reviews, where it's the marriage of academia and pop culture. But since I'm revamping the channel for 2022 and I've been fucking around for like since October, I think, I might as well experiment and throw this out there. Anyways, thanks to everyone on Patreon, and once again, bye-bye now.